I'll bury you under that lake, Patricia screamed as I stood there stunned. This woman, this Karen on steroids, had just posted my private lake for sale online. Listed it for $50,000 to random investors like it was hers to give away. And then she had the audacity to call the cops on me, claiming I'd threatened her. But what she didn't know was who she was dealing with. I've been in real estate for over 15 years. I've seen the tricks, the lies, the double deals people pull when they think no one's watching. I knew exactly how to dismantle someone like Patricia Gray. There was a flaw in her plan, a detail she overlooked about her own land. Something that would flip the entire game in my favor. Now, let's just say Patricia can't get within 100 feet of that lake. Want to know how? Buckle up, 3 insane twists are coming. Every morning I sit beside the water with Duke, my golden retriever. This lake, clear, still, and surrounded by willows, wasn't just some pond on a property, it was a dream. My wife Emily's dream. Marcus, she used to say, flipping through travel magazines, her eyes glowing. When we retire, let's get a little ranch with a fishing lake. But fate doesn't ask permission before it rips your life apart. 3 years ago, a drunk driver ran a red light and stole Emily from me. Just like that. I couldn't stay in the house after that. Every room whispered her name. So I sold it all and bought this Vivica ranch with a 2-acre lake, an exact replica of a magazine clipping Emily had kept in her bedside drawer. This was my way of honoring her dream, of keeping her close. After 15 years as a real estate appraiser, I'd seen every shady trick in the book. I walked away from that world to find peace. Duke became my only companion. Emily had given him to me just 2 weeks before the accident. Out here, I found solitude. The town was far enough to avoid the stairs, but close enough for a grocery run. The lake became my sanctuary. Every evening Duke and I would sit on the shore, my fishing rod in hand, the water gently lapping against the rocks. And then Patricia Gray moved in. She arrived 6 months ago, and my peace began to unravel. Right from the start, something about this 48-year-old woman felt off. She introduced herself as the self-appointed president of the Meadowbrook Women's Association, which was absurd. Our entire community has maybe 20 homes. She went door to door with a manufactured smile, shoving around petitions for community enhancement and economic development. Most folks humored her, but behind her back, people rolled their eyes and called her that city woman. She would ambush strangers at the store, rambling about untapped potential and rural revitalization. What none of us knew then was that Patricia wasn't just annoying, she was dangerous. She'd fled the city after her real estate firm imploded under accusations of fraud. She'd forged signatures, stolen deposits, and owed more than $200,000 to creditors. She'd taken out $50,000 in personal loans from some very unforgiving people. I overheard her once, sobbing on the phone. If I don't pay them in 3 months, they'll break my legs. She had changed her name from Patricia Coleman, dyed her hair, and disappeared into our quiet community. But hiding from your past doesn't erase your debts. Her scheme: rebrand our area as Patricia Lake Eco Resort. She had glossy brochures, fake investor lists, the whole works. The crown jewel of her plan was my lake, my private, sacred lake. She had studied county records and decided that controlling access to the water could make her millions, and in her mind, the fact that the lake wasn't hers was just a technicality. It all exploded on a Monday morning. I woke up at 6:30, made coffee, fed Duke, and was about to take our usual walk when my phone rang. Unknown number, then another, and another. By 6:47 I had over 50 missed calls and dozens of texts. Is this Marcus? I'm interested in the lake property. Will you take $60,000 cash? I'll fly in tomorrow. Confused, I opened my laptop. There it was, my lake, plastered across real estate forums and Facebook Marketplace. Incredible opportunity. Private 2-acre lake, perfect for development. Price to sell $50,000. Contact Patricia Gray. Authorized representative. Professional drone shots, mock-ups of cabins. My sanctuary reduced to a sales pitch. I saw red. I stormed out, Duke at my heels, and marched the quarter-mile to Patricia's house. She was in her yard watering roses, wearing that fake Stepford smile. Good morning, Marcus. Lovely day, isn't it? She sang. Are you insane? I barked. You're selling my property online. Her smile didn't fade, but her eyes went icy. Oh, Marcus, don't be so dramatic. That lake's been underutilized for years. I'm just helping the community recognize its potential. It's mine. Private property. You have no right. She cocked her head and laughed. Do you have documentation, or have you just been squatting on public land? Then she added, I've got friends at the assessor's office. Property lines here are ambiguous. It was a lie. My deed was flawless. Taxes paid on time every year. But the way she said it made me hesitate. Then I saw her thumb moving behind her back on her phone. Don't think you can intimidate me, she said louder. I know you're type bitter old men who think they own everything. And then, like a flip switched, her voice turned hysterical. No, please, don't hit me, help. He's going to kill me. She threw herself backward into a flower bed, knocking over a potted plant. Her phone was already connected to 911. He said he'd bury me under the lake. Please help me. I stood frozen. Within 5 minutes, 2 police cruisers screamed into her driveway. 4 officers spilled out, hands on their weapons. Patricia, mascara running, ran to them sobbing. He threatened to kill me. The lead officer approached me slowly. "Sir, step back and put your hands where I can see them." "She's lying," I said. "She's trying to sell my lake, sir. Calm down." "Hands visible now," Duke growled. I held his collar. The next half hour felt like an eternity. The officers separated us and took statements. Patricia spun some fantasy of ongoing harassment. I showed them screenshots and listings. They looked skeptical. Then came my saving grace, Mrs. Henderson, my elderly neighbor. Her security cameras caught the entire front of Patricia's property. The footage showed me standing still while Patricia screamed and threw herself backward. No contact. Just a bewildered man with his dog. The sergeant's tone changed. "Ma'am, filing a false police report is a serious offense." Patricia's tears dried up like magic. "That video doesn't show everything," she snapped. "He threatened me earlier." The officer sighed. "You two need to resolve this civilly." "Ma'am, don't call unless it's real danger." "Sir, stay off her property." As the cruisers pulled away, Patricia caught my eye and smirked. She had lost this round, but I knew she wasn't done. She was desperate. My lake was her golden ticket. But something clicked in my mind as Duke and I walked home. A memory from years in real estate about easements, lost parcels, and overlooked land. That night, I pulled out my old maps. If she wanted a war, she was about to get one. The next 3 nights blurred into a fog of coffee, eye strain, and paperwork. My dining table disappeared under a mountain of old records. Every property has a story, and I knew how to find the plot twists. Duke lay nearby, worried by my obsession. Meanwhile, Patricia ramped up her game. Every morning she paraded investors past my fence, waving brochures, Patricia Lake Resort and Spocking soon. She even built a website with fake cabins and virtual tours, champagne tents, appetizers. I watched from the window, jaw clenched. Then came Thomas Murphy, my 72-year-old neighbor. "Marcus, you look like hell," he said. "That woman's got the whole county talking. She's trying to steal my land," I said, showing him the listings. His face darkened. "My granddad used to say, the slickest thieves wear the nicest shoes. We remember when you and Emily came here. You need anything, you ask." By night 3, I was breaking. I couldn't sleep. Duke wasn't eating. My eyes saw deed numbers everywhere. Around 2 a.m. I stared at a photo of Emily on the dock, laughing in the sunset. "Promise me we'll never leave," she had said. I promised, and I wasn't about to break it. At 2:15, buried deep in a 1960 survey book, I found it. A faint rectangle, a 75-square-meter strip labeled Plot X, a forgotten parcel between Patricia's land and the lake. The last owner, Joseph Wilson, died in 1987. No heirs, no taxes paid since. That strip was the only road connecting her land to my lake. Without it, she'd have to bushwhack through 2 miles of protected wetlands by morning. I was at the county land office. Rita, the clerk, blinked. "Marcus, you're here early. Someone's trying to steal my lake," I said. She found the file. "Wilson died intestate. County never claimed the land. 37 years of unpaid taxes, $380 total. Can I buy it?" "It'll need to go to public auction. We'll post notice today." Auctions in 3 days. But let's be honest, who else would want a useless strip of dirt? Word spreads fast in small towns. By noon, Patricia had heard. That evening I ran into her at the store. "Marcus, I hear you're interested in that little patch by the lake, planning to plant tulips," she said sweetly. "Just tidying up boundaries," I replied. Her smile twitched. "I had 3 days to seal the deal." That's when I remembered William Johnson, a retired theater professor 2 towns over. "William," I said, "how'd you like to earn $500 for 1 hour's work?" When I told him the plan, he laughed. "Corporate espionage in the sticks. I'm in. What's my character's backstory?" He'd play a developer bidding on small plots for a fake eco-project just enough to make Patricia sweat. Auction day was cold and gray. The county chamber was nearly empty. Patricia arrived in a tailored suit, briefcase in hand. William walked in late, disheveled, juggling phones. The game was on. I wore my usual jeans and flannel, nothing fancy. The auctioneer looked half asleep, clearly expecting a quick sale. "Plot X starting bid, $500. I raised my hand. $600. Patricia snapped, almost immediately. William, playing his part, made a grand entrance. $1,500. Patricia's posture stiffened. She hadn't expected competition, let alone someone bidding that aggressively. $2,000. She said sharply. $2,100. I added casually. $5,000. William barked, pulling out a phone. "This parcel is essential for my client's access plan." Patricia flushed crimson and started flipping through her maps. She had no idea what William supposedly knew, and that uncertainty was starting to gnaw at her. $5,000 going once, $7,500. Patricia interrupted, voice cracking. William staged a dramatic pause, muttering into his phone, double quotes, $10,000. Patricia yelled, rising to her feet. The room went silent. William sighed, shaking his head. "That's beyond my limit." Out. I waited a moment, pretending to hesitate, then let out a resigned sigh. Too rich for my blood. Congrats, Ms. Gray. Patricia beamed for exactly 3 seconds. Then came the dawning horror. She had just paid $10,000 for a meaningless strip of land in a parking lot. William chuckled as he accepted his envelope of cash. Did you see her face when she realized she'd been hustled? But the real checkmate hadn't even landed yet. While Patricia was obsessing over Plot X, I had quietly filed to purchase plot with an adjacent strip on the opposite side. That afternoon, I closed the deal in a private sale. No competition. No theater. Just $800 in a handshake. Patricia had bought a lock. I had the only key. Without Plot Y, her access to the lake was dead in the water. Her $10,000 investment was worth less than the paper her check was printed on. Duke, sensing my mood, sat taller that evening as we watched the sun fall over the lake. We got her, boy, I told him. Tomorrow we build the wall. At 4:30 the next morning, my driveway lit up like a small construction site. 3 trucks rolled in, hauling chain link, steel posts, concrete, and a compact excavator. I had hired Jake Morrison's crew, the best fence builders in 3 counties. My instructions were clear. Finish before 8 a.m. Jake himself, a man with arms like telephone poles, examined my plans under a flashlight. 3-meter steel, electronic gate, concrete footings, cameras. You planning for war, Marcus? Something like that. We've built 5 anti-iron fences this year. Jake grinned. We know the drill. Duke supervised with a tail wag and serious expression. The crew moved like clockwork. Holes drilled, posts set, concrete poured. By 5:45, the outline was unmistakable, a fortified barrier stretching across the 75-meter edge of Plot Y. At 6:10, Patricia's bedroom lights clicked on. At 6:15, her back door slammed open. What the hell is this racket? She shrieked, storming outside in a silk robe and bunny slippers. I stepped forward, Duke at my side. Morning, Patricia. Just doing a little property maintenance. Early bird gets the worm. Her eyes snapped to the rising wall of steel and I watched her face twist as it clicked. You can't do this, she screeched. This is harassment. I'm calling the police. Feel free, I replied calmly, holding up stamped permits. All legal. Agricultural property laws permit construction starting at 4:30 a.m. She looked ready to combust. That's the access road to the lake. You can't block it. I can, and I am. You bought Plot X, this is Plot Y. Without this strip, you've got nothing. Jake's crew kept working, expertly ignoring the drama. Clearly not their first rodeo. By 7:15, the fortress stood completed, feet of steel mesh, topped with deterrent wire, anchored in concrete. The keypad gate had a magnetic lock, motion sensors, and twin solar-powered security cams with night vision every 20 feet. A sign read, private property, nitrogen monoxide trespassing video surveillance in EFFBC Tether. Path that once led to my lake now looked like the entrance to a secure facility. As Jake packed up, he nodded in admiration. That'll hold off anything short of a tank. Want us to stay for the show? I think I'll be fine, I said, handing him a thick envelope. Thanks for the surgical precision. He smiled, gave Duke a pat, and rolled out. At 7:59. Patricia stepped out in full real estate regalia, an AV blazer, pearls, heels. Behind her rolled up a convoy of high-end cars, Mercedes, Teslas, BMWs. 25 potential investors, all dressed to close deals. I recognized the type: venture capitalists, fund managers, hungry for undiscovered rural gold. Patricia led them toward the lake with the confidence of a woman mid-sell. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the future site of Patricia Lake Eco Resort. The group followed eagerly until they rounded the corner. The entire tour stopped in its tracks. 25 heads turned from eager optimism to confusion to visible irritation as they faced a gleaming wall of steel. Cameras tracked them. Red recording lights blinked. The silence was delicious. Then came the questions. Is this a joke? A silver-haired man in a $1,000 suit asked. Where's the lake access? Snapped a woman in designer heels. I flew in from Seattle for this. This looks like fraud. Someone else growled. I want my deposit back now. Patricia's frozen smile cracked like cheap plaster. This is just temporary. A minor boundary issue. She STMMERED. I took that moment to step out with Duke, casually strolling toward the stunned group. Morning, folks, I said. Lovely day for a tour. Patricia turned, eyes blazing. This is the man causing all this. He's illegally blocking access. Nothing illegal, I said, handing the lead investor a laminated deed. This is Plot Y. I own it. Purchased fair and legal. That's Plot X over there, also private. Unfortunately, hers doesn't connect to the lake. The man's expression darkened. Ms. Gray, are you saying you don't actually have legal access? We do. This is just a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding, I clarified. Her land goes nowhere. Mine leads to the water. Unless you all plan to parachute in, that lake's off limits. Phones came out. Lawyers were called. One investor snapped photos of the fence and Patricia. Another stormed toward her. You promised me water access, he growled. I gave you $25,000. and I gave you $30,000. Another shouted, I transferred $50,000 yesterday. The third yelled, face red with rage. Patricia's color drained. The Seattle investor crossed her arms. This is over. I'm contacting my attorney. You've scammed us. Someone muttered about calling the FBI. Car doors slammed. Engines roared. Within minutes, the entire caravan peeled away in a cloud of luxury dust. Patricia turned to me, trembling with fury. You've ruined everything, she spat. You have no idea who you're messing with. I know exactly who I'm dealing with, and I protected what was mine. Maybe you should have done the same for those deposits. Open this gate now. I have legal rights. You have a $10,000 driveway to nowhere, I replied. Congrats. She rattled the gate violently. Duke barked once, slow and threatening. She stepped back instinctively. Sue me if you want, I said calmly, but you might want to save your money. Looks like you've got a lot of refunds to issue. Just then, Thomas and Linda Murphy drove by in their truck. Morning, Marcus. Thomas called out, grinning. Nice fence, solid workmanship. He turned to Patricia, raising an eyebrow. Everything okay, Miss Gray? You look a little rattled. Linda leaned over from the passenger side. Oh, Patricia, where did all your guests go? They left so quickly. Patricia glared at them like she could ignite them with her stare. 40 years I've lived here, Thomas mused, and I've never seen someone outsmart themselves so spectacularly, like folks who buy beachfront property without checking the tide charts, Linda added sweetly. Sarah Wilson jogged up, phone in hand. You guys have to see this. Someone posted a video of the investors storming off. Already has 300 views. County groups going wild. She showed us the screen. The comment section was savage. Fraud queen exposed. Karen of the year. Lock her up. Patricia looked like she might collapse. This isn't over, she growled at me. You made it war the day you tried to steal from me, I said. I just decided to fight back. She spun on her heel and stormed back to her house. Shoulders tight, fury radiating off her like heat. I stood there with Duke, watching her fade into the distance. The morning sun hit the fence, casting long shadows. My lake shimmered behind it, still, untouched, safe. Good boy, I said, scratching Duke's ears. We did it. But even as the satisfaction settled, I knew this wasn't the end. Desperate. People don't go quietly, and I had just pushed Patricia Gray into a very small, very dangerous corner. Thomas clapped a hand on my shoulder. You won that battle, Marcus, but watch your back. That woman's got nothing left to lose. He was right. And as if to prove it, my phone buzzed with a new notification. Patricia Gray just tagged you in a post. The auction was supposed to be routine. I showed up in my usual jeans and flannel, giving off the impression of someone who wouldn't last past the opening bid. The auctioneer barely looked up before announcing, Plot X, 75 meters, opening. At $500, I raised my hand. Patricia countered instantly with $600. Then William sharper instincts, jumped to $1,500. Patricia flinched. She hadn't expected real competition. 2,000, she said stiffly. 21, I replied. 5,000, William declared. This plot is exactly what my clients need. Patricia's mask slipped. She pulled out a folded map, her fingers shaking, trying to see what William might have seen. The auctioneer, now fully alert, grinned. The drama was a bonus. 7,500, Patricia barked, almost panicked. William theatrically stepped aside to call someone. He returned seconds later. 10,000. She stood, jaw clenched. 10,000, she repeated, as if trying to regain control of the room. William held up his hands. That's beyond my authorization. I'm out. I let the moment breathe. Too rich for my blood, I muttered. Congratulations, Miss Gray. Patricia smirked, but it didn't last because she hadn't just bought prime lakeside access. She'd just spent $10,000 on a strip of useless land in a gravel parking lot. Plot X was isolated, a deep. William had played his part perfectly. And while Patricia was distracted by her fake win, I was across the county purchasing Plot Y in a quiet, private sale for $800. No drama, no attention. But it was the true key because Plot Y controlled the only viable access path to the lake. Patricia now held a very expensive lock. Without the key, that night, Duke, my loyal dog and late wife Emily's favorite companion, seemed to share my satisfaction. We had her, and tomorrow the fence would go up. Asterisk by 4:30 a.m. 3 trucks rolled up my driveway like a quiet army. Steel posts, concrete, fencing panels, even a small excavator. I'd hired Jake Morrison's crew, the best in 3 counties, with a reputation for building antiquarian fortresses. Jake reviewed the plans under flashlight. 8-foot, galvanized steel, electronic gate, concrete footings, surveillance prepping for war. Marcus, something like that, I replied. My neighbor's about to learn what a boundary really means. Jake grinned. Say no more. We've built 5 of these this year alone. Duke oversaw everything with his usual seriousness, tail wagging as the crew went to work. By sunrise, the steel skeleton of the fence cast long shadows over Plot Y inside her house. Patricia's lights flicked on. Then the door burst open. She charged out in a silk robe and slippers, her face contorted with fury. What the hell is this racket? She screeched. Just making some property improvements, I said, calm and pleasant. Early bird and all that. Her eyes scanned the fence, and I watched her connect the dots in real time. You can't do this. This is harassment. I held out the permits. Agricultural property. Working hours start at 4:30, all legal. That's the access road to the lake. Actually, it's plot. Why my land? Your plot's over there useless without mine, she screamed, but it was drowned out by the satisfying hum of power tools. By 7:15, the job was done. 8 feet of steel mesh, topped with angled deterrent wire, anchored in concrete, keypad gate, solar-powered cameras. It looked more like a military checkpoint than a rural fence. I paid Jake in cash. He nodded. That'll stop anything short of a tank. At 8 a.m., Patricia re-emerged, this time in a business suit and pearls. A caravan of luxury cars trailed behind her. 25 investors from Seattle, Denver, and LA venture capitalists, developers, big money. She greeted them with grand gestures. Welcome to the future site of Patricia Lake Eco Resort Bed. As they rounded the path to the lake, the tour stopped dead. Confusion rippled through the crowd. Then anger. This is a joke, right? One asked. Where's the lake? Said. Another. I stepped out from my porch with Duke beside me. Beautiful day for a tour. Patricia turned red. He's illegally blocking access. I held up my deed. This is plot Y legally purchased. That, I pointed, is plot X useless without crossing mine. The crowd erupted. I want my $25,000 back. She promised direct access. This is fraud, Patricia stammered. It's temporary. A misunderstanding. Sure, I said, unless you can fly. The entire investment crumbled in seconds. Cars roared away. And Patricia, she stood alone in the dust. You've ruined everything, she hissed. No, I said. I protected what was mine. The next morning brought flashing lights. 2 cruisers, Officers Rodriguez and Kim. Patricia arrived in full victim mode, bandaged arm, pale makeup, and a witness, Jeremy Peterson, the shy man from the old baker place. He assaulted me, she whimpered. Jeremy saw it all. Jeremy mumbled, I saw him push her. Duke growled behind the screen. I have 8 security cameras. I told the officers, would you like to see footage played? Patricia alone, kicking the fence, then deliberately scraping her arm against a bolt. Jeremy wilted. She paid me $5 grand to lie. I needed the money. Rodriguez turned to Patricia. You're under arrest for filing a false report and witness tampering. Handcuffs clicked. This isn't over, she spat. You'll regret this. Maybe, but not yet. That night, Patricia launched her next attack in line. Fake screenshots, photoshopped images, lies about my wife, accusations of poisoning the lake. She called me a killer, a predator, a monster, and people believed it at first, but I didn't respond with rage. I responded with receipts. I posted one article, The Truth, about Patricia Gray, aka Patricia Coleman mugshots. Security footage, audio of her bribing Jeremy. Victim statements, her record in Florida, Texas, California within 3 hours, 6,000 shares. Local news picked it up. The FBI launched a probe. By midnight, her accounts vanished, but the internet doesn't. Forget, the tide had turned. Then she crossed the line. Duke refused his breakfast, whining, barking near the fence. I checked his water bowl. An oily sheen shimmered on the surface. Antifreeze. Sweet, deadly. The vet confirmed it. I filed a police report for attempted animal cruelty. Now it wasn't just fraud, it was murder in slow motion. Duke survived, but something inside me snapped. I hired Robert Anderson, elite real estate attorney. We built a case with everything: fraud, witness tampering, attempted poisoning. Anderson found more victims across 7 states. $113,000 in total fraud, criminal charges, civil suits. No more hiding. Even Patricia's lawyers abandoned her. The public defender laughed at her. You're not broke, you're just caught. Her house went unsold. Her car repossessed. Utilities shut off. Even Craigslist wouldn't list her place. When trial came, the courtroom was full. 23 victims testified. Duke was presented as evidence. I watched as her last lie fell apart under the weight of truth. Guilty, all counts. The judge didn't hold back 18 years in federal prison. No parole for 5. As the gavel fell, she looked at me. Hatred burned, but beneath it, defeat. Complete soul-crushing defeat. 1 month later, Duke and I sat by the lake. Peaceful, quiet. Thomas and Linda hosted a barbecue really at Patricia's gone party. You did good. Marcus, Walter Freeman told me Emily would be proud. Her name still ached, but it was warm now. I'd kept her dreams safe that evening. Duke chased butterflies by the shore, splashing in the water Emily had loved. As the sun set, I whispered to the breeze, we did it, Em. The lake is safe. Justice doesn't always wear a badge. Sometimes, it wears boots, builds fences, and tells the truth louder than the lies. If this story inspired you, hit like and subscribe for more real-life justice and rural resilience. And tell me, you ever faced a neighbor from hell? Drop your story in the comments. I read every one. Sometimes, The best revenge is just protecting what's yours. See you in the next RISEFUEL twist. Make sure to like, share the video and subscribe the channel for more this type of content.